Today, of course, we have the honor and the pleasure of continuing our journey with the winner of Emirates Foundation's own social enterprise award, Glowork. So Glowork, as you will see from the room and everything around you, is a new pioneer in both social enterprise and also female labor force participation. So we will be looking at challenges in labor markets here during the course of this morning, looking specifically about how social enterprise can bring some solutions to the table, and then also looking at how we can support ventures like Glowork to really make sure that they can have the impact and the scalability that we need to solve some of these challenges.
As we talk about social entrepreneurship, we need to always add the word impact. So it's not, the entrepreneurial mind is always about impact. And that's the critical element in here. So social impact, and how do we actually affect society for the better? How do we bring an entrepreneurial solution-based critical thinking that says, here's an issue, and here's how we're addressing it, and we're actually having that results. We can actually feel and measure that. So everything that you do at Glowork and everything that Emirates Foundation at its core does is, it's about stakeholders. So Glowork brings in universities, skill building, bring in government, bring in private sector, and bring in, most importantly, the individual and the citizen. Let's keep moving towards that target of the global average. Then we're creating 58 million jobs. And the challenge of that the World Bank tells us that we need to create 100 million jobs by the year 2020 or 25. Then by addressing that single gap for youth and women unemployment in our workforce, then we're creating that 60 million jobs.
So in 2011, we started as an organization that links women to the labor market. Initially, it was an online platform that connects female job seekers to employers. That developed into an offline element where we started working closely with the private sector on actually employing women by headhunting or doing the filtering and screening of candidates. We enter companies that have never hired women and create departments for them. That in turn led us to work very closely with the government. Last year we had 65,000 women attend an event, and over 270 organizations, in which 3,600 women were hired in one day. Today we place around 26 women a day into the labor market. We've helped hire over 27,000 over the last 5 years. We've seen 4 key elements of or key issues in employment. One is that women, after 2 years, there's a high percentage of them that drop out of the private sector. So we created the platform, which is a social community only for women. It's a social recruitment community. Employers are able to post their vacancies very simply through this application. Women are able to have their own profile. They're able to post pictures, connect with friends. There is filtering features similar to other social platforms that are available. Employers are able to post where their locations or pinpoint where their locations are. So whenever a woman is within 500 meters of this location, you'll get a message saying that there's an opportunity. There's an algorithm that understands the content that you're posting. So today you post pictures of buildings as an individual. It will link you to architecture and interior design opportunities. It analyzes who you are as a person, and it helps you see what your passion is, and also based on the skill sets that's provided, helps finds you the correct opportunities. Our launch here in the UAE is going to help us go global. Our idea is that every retail outlet, every organization, every hospital, every school uses our social platform to not just hire and employ women, but also to educate. My whole vision around Glowork was 2 things: to change the perception of the Arab world when it came to women empowerment and women employment, because we've always been talked about negatively in this part of the world, even though UAE I think right now, today, is a benchmark to countries globally when it comes to anything related to women in the labor market.
So let's really try and understand how do we fast track? Is this model of deploying the digital revolution a way of doing that?
I think now we see second and third generation. We see women taking more control of their wealth because they would like to not only just grow their businesses, but even just maintain what they have. I find it really important, and that's why with Emirates Foundation and with our financial literacy program, this is the key to the future. And not actually the future, but now. We need to see next generation learning and educating themselves more about finance. Otherwise, they will not be able to manage their wealth in the future. I see cultural barriers still. Women are still asked many questions. Why are you at work so late? Why are you choosing a job that takes you out, from into the world, into the male-dominated world? You have to be very self-motivated from that point of view. And also you need to find that one person who will really stand by you.
What I've done right now is actually I've built a career development platform for young Emiratis, because the stereotype is, well, Emiratis, they don't want to work in the private sector because the pay is too low and the hours are too long. So there's a lot of awareness that needs to be built. So this is one of the issues that I've tried to kind of target on the platform is go to companies, multinational companies in the private sector here in the UAE and build microsites for them. The idea was to do it all digitally because yes, it's easier to scale. And I think upon reflection, and this has been a huge learning for me, you can't do it purely digitally. You actually do need an offline element to it. And this is what Khalid has done with his career fairs. So I've found that I'm now spending a lot more time actually in universities with the students. I mean, Shara, as you mentioned, is also based at American University of Sharjah, so that helps.
How do we help young people access opportunities, men or women, in the private sector? How do we give them voice?
Our ultimate goal as media and as MBC is to tell the stories of Khalid and others who are trying to make a difference and an impact on ground. So it's very simple: storytelling, getting their voices out there, showcasing their successes, making sure that we communicate their impact. The youth do not understand. What would you do at MBC? MBC, oh, okay, so I'm going to be a presenter or an anchor or a journalist. There's a lot going on in the backstage.
What do you think we need to do more to make sure that women have access to that physical workplace? I mean, it's one of the challenges Khalid has been working on in Saudi Arabia, but people talk about, job shadowing and rotational programs. We talk about the need for more creches. What is the structural improvement that could be made to make sure that women don't just have virtual access to the labor force, but physical access to the labor force?
Work readiness, obviously, as you said, but then again, flexi time is such an important thing that needs to be implemented now, right now. And again, the mindset needs to change. If we want women to be part of the private sector, we need to start introducing flexi time and that kind of thing. Some tasks, for example, can be done at home, and some need to be done at work physically. So there needs to be that option, and this is something that the Gulf region really needs to look at.
We actually don't have a culture of a woman living alone in another emirate, just rent, especially a single woman living alone in another emirate in an apartment. So if there was some sort of dorm or accommodation that was for professional women, for women only, potentially government sponsored, so there's that, again, the trust element that it's sponsored by the government, maybe a few women could actually spend the week working. Instead of women coming to the jobs, why not create jobs for them in their own emirates? And this is where entrepreneurship comes in. And it's not necessarily just self-employment, but also creating enterprises that will have a high impact in that economy and actually can go on to create jobs.
Last 5 years, there's a law that came out that any organization that has over 50 women must have a childcare facility inside their premises. That's one. Number two, there's a law that came out where any woman that just recently had a child has 1 hour a day to breastfeed, either to go home or the maternity leave has increased to 100 days.
What is your role in media in terms of driving and scaling mindset change?
For starters, we can play the role of the marketing manager because, you know, we
There you go.
we
You're
can
hired.
actually market what other governments are doing. So scaling up, really, it's going to have to be, we have to take the role of advocacy when it comes to, you know, to change and changing mindsets. As we all know, changing mindsets takes a long time, so we have to be a little bit patient. But it's not just the media or the government or private. It's a partnership. We all have to do this together. It's a role that we all have to take on, because if we advocate on behalf of governments, but if they don't, you know, they don't change legislation and they don't start being a little bit more flexible, because it's not just employing women, it's actually retaining women and women growing in their positions. So it's not just landing a job, you know, and this is huge. It's not, we're not begging for jobs. We want to grow within our jobs. We want to have leadership roles. We want to become CEOs, and you don't see a lot of those in this region. So it's not just about governments and private sector. It's also about households, about, you know, the relationship between a husband and a woman, the leaning in. It's also women to women. We are really struggling as mothers, as sisters, as women, as leaders. We're struggling to not only get a job, but keep the job, grow in the job, try to you know, have a race between running a household, being a mother. It's really like, you know, multitasking, but to another level.
Question: is it worth me taking on a job if I'm going to be paid so much less than a man would if I've got kids, etc.? So the opportunities is one thing, but how we handle those opportunities is also something else.
I think women need sponsors.
Yeah.
So and it's a very big difference between a mentor and a sponsor in an organization. And I think we've definitely got a lot of women who are willing to mentor, but not a lot of women who are actually willing to step up and actually pull that woman ahead.
Based on my experience, we have a huge gap in working with entrepreneurs, but keep them going to actually doing their own business, especially for female. Like we have a lot of entrepreneurs who are interested. We start up with them, but how to keep them going is the problem, because we don't get the result of any working experience or anything.
Actually, right from the start, you know, from the idea, helping them actually refine that idea, helping them write their business model, helping them pitch it, putting them through a 3-month program to actually accelerate the idea. But then even after the business has been set up, supporting them for the next 4 or 5 years by giving them access to the market. The hardest thing as an entrepreneur is actually not getting funding, it's just getting your first customer.
Hi, my name is Salman. I'm from Seed Entrepreneurship Center. My question actually is in regards to flexi time. So I hear a lot of flexi time for females, but what about males? If flexi time needs to be introduced, it needs to be introduced not only to females, but males as well, because he needs to go home and take care of the kids.
My question is that when you started to recruit ladies from their home for the remote work, what about the trainings? I mean, did you find any challenges about training them? Were you able to retain them for long, or did you notice a lot of dropouts?
My name is Fatma Logani. I work for the Expo 2020.
I believe in you when you say, I believe in you because you're a male taking charge of this, and I believe in you because you're putting an effort to attracting male to champion female empowerment.
Rachel Awad from Silatech in Qatar, and we focus on youth employment across the region. So I want to actually put a challenge out here to the organizations here, and I think this is particularly relevant to small and growing enterprises, that this is a solution, but as much as we can prepare young people and women, etc., to access these marketplaces, if we as employers are not putting opportunities out there for them, then it's sort of, you know, we're spinning our wheels. We're training them for jobs that don't exist, or for jobs in other parts of the world. Right?
When you were recruiting ladies from remote areas about training, there was a question about training. Can you give us your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we spent 2 weeks initially training them on how to set up their working environment within the household, as well as interacting with their colleagues. So they'd be working amongst each other. Every morning there is this sort of a FaceTime communication between all the different employees. Every 4 months there is an off-site meeting.
We recently partnered with Nebbish.com, but specifically on a project that Silatech has launched with them, is Fursati. Fursati really reaches out to the unreachable. So basically, we're trying to offer them as MBC the jobs that we offer for freelancers, but to them. So, the jobs of anything that you can do virtually. It's about balance. So if you've got the balance and you've got the support at home, and if you've got the support policies and procedures of your corporate employer, then, you can do it.
It's really important for us to really concentrate at the moment on women and their rights, because those women are mothers, and you are a mother yourself, so you know. Perhaps one of the ways is that we need to bring this subject or this topic up to, let's say, the FNC maybe.
Women do not require or do not need men to stand up for them. They need men to stand beside them in this